Hey everyone, thanks for joining us again on the Now That You Mention It podcast with Roll, Jay, and RJ. I'm Roll.
I'm Jay.
And I'm RJ.
Before we get into tonight's show, please remember to hit subscribe or like. Also ding the bell so that you get notified every time a new episode drops. Also check us out in audio format on Podbeans, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and soon to be joining our Heart Radio. Also, if you have a few extra minutes, please hit our Facebook page. Check us out there. We're trying to add some content to that. Give us a like there, and let's get into tonight's show. So We're really excited about tonight's show. We're actually bringing on another one of our brothers who, as you can see from my background, has his own podcast, Made from Scratch broadcast. And you want to bring Gabriel on?
Yeah, let's do it.
Hey guys, how are you doing?
What's going on, man?
Hey. Nothing much, man. Same old. Just plodding along and doing this whole live stream thing. So, I've been meaning to try to get onto one of these things. Problem was for me was it really kind of did not go well with some of the scheduling that I had going on, because some of these nights I would do back-to-back live stream shows. So that was kind of difficult. So that's why I reached out and asked Jay, hey, when is the next time you guys are doing one of these so I can hop on here? Because not only has it become a passion for me, it's become something that I really, really want to delve deeper into, and hopefully at some point turn it into a career, just because it's so fun to me. I mean, literally, I've learning new aspects of what it is to create video, what it is to create content, what it is to just, so much learning that I can possibly do, reaching out to different people. It's been a great way to network. It's been a great way to help build a following, building an audience, and then also building a really strong, formative community around what I do. So I got to tell you, this thing, starting this whole process has been a life-changing experience for me in a lot of manners. And as you guys are learning as well, going along what you guys do, you also find that you think some of the things that you find interesting, you think in your head, nobody would find that interesting. Nobody would want to hear that. And then you start putting it out there. And then you start seeing people follow and watch and comment. And I think that's kind of what is the fun part at first. And then after a while, it becomes part of the fabric of what you love doing is doing it.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, bro. And I got to tell, for our viewers, the really the nexus of how we started the Now That You Mention It podcast was, I know Jay had been thinking for a while about doing one, but I think we picked up momentum when you got into it, Gabriel, and really started we saw you putting it out there, developing content, developing your skills, and understanding that, hey, this might be something to do. What I really like about this format, and for our viewers that don't know, originally we wanted to have a podcast with all of our brothers, simply because we enjoy talking to each other. We like bullshitting with each other. We make each other laugh. I always feel like we play off each other so well. And once we got into this format, one of the things that, while we have some structure, it's very loose, right? We want to talk about kind of anything. And we like to let our topics meander all over the place, which is different than what you do, Gabriel. So, like, one of the things that I wanted to ask you is, obviously we kind of film or record our program, and then Jay will go back and edit, add some things in. You're on the fly. You're live. You got to produce while you're having your show. So why did you focus on that format versus like what we're doing here, recording and then going back and editing and then dropping the content later on?
So here was the thought process behind that, and I'm going to tell you, I strictly learned this by reaching out to people who I already saw were doing what I wanted to do, and reaching out and asking these people advice, information, tips, all these things. One of the themes that came across was, if you're going to do video, learn a lot about editing, because editing is a big part about doing it. And I said, okay, cool. So I started to dive in and learning what editing was and what kind of process it is. Not that there's nothing wrong with editing. If you want to do editing, albeit do it. But for what I wanted to create and what I wanted to do to force myself to do this, so that first of all, it was me knowing myself and knowing what my limitations and boundaries were. So I wanted to push those a little bit. And that's why I started doing it every single day, was the fact that I knew if I stopped, I would have just given up. Things like that I've done in the past. So to go against the trend of what I always do, I made myself do it every single day. And I had to really learn how to create a system that was very quick, very efficient, and I didn't have to go back and do a whole lot of work on the back end. So live streaming, doing a live stream, the bulk of your work and the bulk of the things that you're going to create are always usually on the front end of what you want to do, because you got to go out.
Yeah.
Is the information of booking guests or formulating questions or creating structure or doing all these things that you wanted to do. Once you have that done ahead of time, once you go live, there is no, hey, don't worry about it, I can cut this out later. It goes across whatever platform you're streaming on. So you want to be able to be as prepared as possible before you go live. And then on the other end of it here, once I'm done creating my content or creating whatever I want to do with my live stream, I'm essentially done with it. All it really at that point is me going back and doing things to make it more visible for more people. And really that's concentrating on, depending where you want to stream to and what you want to do. If you concentrate on Facebook, guess what? Go into your Facebook groups, reply to comments, put in show notes, put in links, put in all these things inside of your what you want to do on Facebook. If you want to concentrate on YouTube, best thing to do on YouTube, and I'm going to tell you what, is go back and make sure your show notes have any kind of information that guests have given you, books, links, story ideas, names, and then also go in there and learn how to do tagging. SEO tagging is huge if you want to start growing your YouTube channel, because those keywords that people start putting in there whenever they start searching for you in the search bar, if you tag right and you know what keywords to use, guess whose video is going to pop up on the very beginning of the search? Yours. And because here was the problem when I started with my show. There was already another show called Made from Scratch. And it was created.
Yeah, we've run into that problem because as I started posting our audio version on different formats, I noticed that there's another, now that you mention it, out there.
Yeah.
And part of the reason why I went with editing after the fact rather than doing the live broadcast is because there's 3 of us here. So sometimes it's too hard for all of us to sync up at the same time every day to say, hey, we need to make sure to be, because it's unfortunately this is not our full-time jobs yet. This is still something we're trying to build to. So there's been times where we've started really late because of technical issues or just other life issues, right? So I find that it's easy for us to be more consistent when we're putting the content out. If I can go back and edit and say, okay, every Sunday I try to have our videos posted on YouTube by 9 a.m. And what I'll typically do, because we film on Wednesdays, I'll spend Thursdays and Fridays, editing the video, trying to get build up for it. And then on Saturday, I'll go and upload it to YouTube because, after all the editing and all the, adding in all the music and the effects and all that other good stuff, some of these videos can get up to 8 gigs, right? So when I load that onto YouTube, man, it'll take, even with fast upload streams, it takes 3 hours to upload, right? So I'll upload everything, and I'll just usually set it for a release. It'll self-release by itself on Sunday morning at 9 a.m. As long as I can have everything done by midnight on Saturday, then I don't have to worry about it. I mean, only one time have I had an issue where it didn't release on time, and that was last week for whatever YouTube was having issues with its server. So our video released late. But, I try to be as consistent with it as possible. And so let me ask you this, though. How did you, where did you build the knowledge from to do all this? Because I'm going to tell people, I'm going to be very honest with people. Roland said, I'd been thinking about doing a podcast for a while, almost for the better part of a year. And it's just one of those things where you can think about it all you want, but until you take action, nothing can happen, right? But everything that I've learned about doing this, I've learned from you. I've talked to you. I've said, hey, man, how are you doing? Where did you get the knowledge from to do all this?
So here's the thing, right? It's called networking. And one of the things about networking is seeing people taking their ideas, or seeing somebody that you like, or somebody doing something interesting that you want to learn about. Two greatest teachers, guys, that you guys can use. The two greatest teachers are Google and YouTube. I learned how to build my own website using YouTube and Google, and how to put a scheduling tool together, and learning how to do questions, and learning how to do active listening, because that's part of what I have to learn how to do. I'm like you guys. Here's the thing. I don't always create questions and structure whenever I go live with a guest. For me, I need your bio and a picture. I create whatever I'm going to create. And then once we go live, our conversations are all free flowing. So there is no preset question except one that I ask every single guest. That is my go-to question at the end of the interview, and that's how I end every single interview. But other than that, I start just every interview by, hey, let's go ahead and start. I mean, you gotta after a while, you start formulating kind of a direction that you want to go in, and part of it is, but again, switch it up whenever you're doing these things. Like, so if I were to be interviewing one of you guys, I would want to start about learning about your backstory, right? Tell me a little bit about your experiences. And Ro, for example, you're into commercial real estate. So tell me a little bit more about how you got into commercial real estate, and what was one of the driving factors that made you want to commit to doing that. And just going and then actively listening, hearing what they say, what their answer is. Cool. Okay, let's jump into that.
Well, selling his body on Harry Hines wasn't working, so.
But
he had to do something.
So here's the thing, though. Just learning how to do that, and it's just like something that you had told me a long time ago, Roll, and it really resonated with me when I started doing this. He goes, when you wanted to learn how to play basketball and you want to get better than you, essentially, what did you have to do? Nobody forced me to go out there and practice. I did it on my own. Right. Same deal here. If I wanted to get better as a live streamer and learn how to do this, I had to go out and learn how to do it on my own. Study, research, test, fail, try different things, try new things, until I got it to a point where I felt comfortable doing this now. So jumping behind the seat and getting behind this and doing it now is second nature. But it took practice to get there. And it's the repetitive process of doing it over and over and over again that you learn, okay, this is what I needed to do. And again, learning how to do the creative stuff, I mean, that was a part of it as well. I mean, I wanted to learn how to put my signature of my creativity on my show. And for me to do that, I had to go learn how to do it. And again, using YouTube and seeing other examples that I thought were pretty cool, went out and applying it and practicing it until I got it down to the way that I love to share my video now. So, I mean, it's really just learning what works for you, and then just sticking with it. And keep doing it over and over and over again. And that's one of the things that people have told me has been the biggest thing that has got me where it's been consistency. Be consistent. If you're consistent, people know every day, Monday through Friday, 7 o'clock Central Standard Time, there I am. I'm hopping on live, and people know where to go find me, where my channels are, and just learning how to do the whole process. And I mean, and one of the best things about it is not only have I seen you guys go out and do it on your own, I've helped other people, which is something. This is a byproduct of me learning how to do this. Is going out and help other people learn how to do it as well. And all that does is just it's building a reputation for me, so that when people go, hey, where did you learn how to do that? Hey, go talk to Gabe. Go talk to Gabriel. He'll show you how to do it. He'll walk you through the process, or he'll let you know how to do these things. And at some point, it's getting to that point where it's about to be something that's going to really take off and hopefully become a career. And that's what I think that's what I want to do for that and my creative writing. But other than that, that's what I want to do for the rest of my life. And if I'm going to do it, I got to keep getting better and being a student of learning. Don't sit on your laurels and say, I'm good enough with doing this. That's not going to work.
Okay. Well, that kind of touches on my next question, Uncle Gabriel.
Okay.
Is in its purest form, essentially, what do you want this to become? Like, let's just say, more specifically speaking, I mean, you don't have to worry about bills. You just do this, and have your family time. So what do you want it to grow if that's the situation you're in?
So the thing for me, and I see that there's a big growing market for this, is to learn how to remotely produce shows for other people. Because, I mean, it's great that everybody wants to make their own podcast now, or want to host their own videos, or even host their own live stream. But for a lot of people, I don't have the time. I don't want to do this. So what are the ways around it? Well, you pay other people to do it. That's one of the biggest things about people who become quote unquote YouTube influencers. The first thing they give up control of is editing, because they figure it out. Man, I don't have to edit no more. I can pay somebody to go do it. And it frees up time. And I mean, and that's the whole thing, is how much is your time worth to you? I mean, what is the value of your time? If you can find easier ways to control your time and make money doing it, man, why wouldn't you want to? And that's where I want this to go for me, is that at some point, I don't want to be anchored to this chair.
Right.
That's why I have guest hosts to come on my show. At some point, I want somebody to take over that mantle and go. I've seen it kind of like the Tonight Show, right? The Tonight Show goes on despite who the host is, right? It's the product. It's what it is and what sells. So same sort of deal here. I've kind of generalized it so that it's MFSB Live now. I've tried to rebrand it, remarket it, and at some point, find somebody else to sit in this chair and still use it as a byproduct to go out and sell and create in what I want to do, and hopefully find the avenues to go remotely produce other people's shows and get paid to do it.
Well, hey, I want to back up a little bit, because you touched upon something else that you're into, and that's creative writing. So my next question is, how is your soft porn works coming along?
Let me tell you what, bro. My skills and my levels of soft porn have actually gone next level.
I know. I knew you were going to be successful. I knew it.
And let me just tell you what. Again, I'm a student of learning. So going in and learning, right? I've come up with a quote. Listen to this. I've come up with a quote, and this is going to put on a T-shirt. And I was just talking about this, and I've told this to a woman actually. And
oh god!
Wait, listen to this, right? They loved it. And here's the thing, right? It says, so if the woman's anatomy is art, I am Picasso. So really, I mean, it works. I couldn't use the line from the Trolls where he tells her, you know, your eyes are like two deep pools. I'm afraid if I dive in, I'll suffocate because I won't come up for air. That was already taken, so I couldn't use that one. Great line, by the way. As a matter of fact, I mean, if a woman's never seen that movie and you're trolling for her in the park, hey, sweetheart, your eyes are like two deep pools. I could just dive in. You know, wonderful line, right? I mean,
dude, I feel so dirty after even just hearing it. I need to go take a shower. Good God.
So again,
we're gonna have to put a lot of tags on this one.
Being a student of learning has so many advantages, and that's one of them, right? So, but
so
you know,
one thing I get from your show, because you know, unfortunately, I don't get to listen every day, but I do listen as often as I can. And you had a lot of diverse people on your shows. Who's probably the one that stands out the most in your mind?
easy. There's a woman named Katie Nall, and what she's a former TEDx speaker. She has a PhD in mathematics, and she's also trained and certified in what they call EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, right? What that is called tapping. And what it essentially does is it is a way to help get into your mind, into your subconscious mind, and help reprogram it. So that's one of the things that I've studied is neuroplasticity and learning how to do that. What happened with her was something that I've told plenty of times on my show, and people didn't believe me, but we went through a tapping session on live, and I didn't have any preconceived notions about what it was or how it worked or
okay, hold on. Whoa. Describe that again. What is tapping again?
Okay, so imagine a way to, I want to say another way of a lesser form of hypnosis, right? So have you ever,
Gotcha.
people who fall into hypnosis, people think it's sometimes BS. But what it is just using techniques, touching techniques or sound techniques or audio techniques, these sort of things. So what had happened was she said, let's try it live on the show. So I said, cool, let's do it. Right. I've told this to people before, and what happened afterwards, after I did it, was one of the most moments of clarity I've ever had. I mean, literally, I went blank for 5 minutes. And what I mean by that is I was there, but I was not there. I don't remember 5 minutes after the conversation that happened afterward. I had to go watch myself to go remember to see what we were talking about. And if you don't believe it's true or it's possible, I always tell people, go watch what happened to Howie Mandel. Howie Mandel is a huge germaphobe. He does not like to touch people's hands. Go watch what that hypnotist did with him on America's Got Talent. And the way he explains it afterwards on one of the interviews that he did, it said, it feels like you're drunk and somebody's controlling and telling you what to do, and you don't know what else to do except to what the program is telling you, whatever somebody's telling you. So that's what it felt like to me. I felt, like I said, I felt open. I felt so many different things afterwards. So that was one of the more memorable guests that I've had on, because what it really did for me and what it did for me afterwards, for the next month and a half, man, I had some of the highest highs. I had some of the lowest lows that I've ever felt, because I was experiencing things deep in my mind that I hadn't even thought about it for a very long time. I mean, so it was, for me, it was one of the coolest experiences that I've ever had. And I want to go back and try it again. I don't know if it will be the same, just because I know what it is and what's gone on into it. But for that being in that moment and what happened. Man, it was so great, because again, I felt, and this is what I guess what alcoholics go through when they find that moment of clarity, or addicts, whatever it is, whatever that moment is, they just feel like,
Yeah.
fuck, there's the sunshine, and there's the clouds opening, and there's whatever God or deity they believe in talking to me. So that's what it felt like for me. And when I went back and watched the interview again, she asked one of the first questions she asked me. She says, "What do you feel like afterwards? What do you feel right now?" And I replied back to her. I said, "I feel light, like I can, like there, whatever burdens or whatever was on my shoulders or whatever was in me, whatever, it was gone." I said, I literally told her, I feel like I could fly right now, but I'd probably fall off a cliff. But if you told me I could go jump and fly, I'd probably try it.
Oh, wow.
Well, kind of getting into a similar, I guess, area. What are some of, or what would you say your three biggest influencers are that got you going into this?
The three biggest influencers who really got me on the path to where I am now. So, one of these people that I've had on my show, his name is Russ Johns, and he does something he does the same thing I do, except he does his in the morning time, and he does his only 30 minutes. But I call him my mentor as far as how I really learned a lot of the processes for me, because he kind of walked me through the whole thing and told me, these are some of the things you need to look for. This is what you need to try. This is because when I reached out to him, I was essentially number one, a nobody. Number two, he'd already done, at that point, 100 episodes himself. So if I'm at 100 episodes, right now I'm at 108 episodes. He's 100 ahead of me, so he's like at 208, 209. So he was already 100 episodes in. He kind of walked me through the process. Real cool guy, open about it. We're really good friends now. He was one of my main, really one of my main influences as far as wanting to go learn how to do live streaming. The second person that I say that has been a big influence in wanting to learn how to do this, and this is somebody you guys know, is Howard Stern.
That's your boy.
Just one of his just watch how his interview style is, and how he's able to interact with his guests. And we're talking about high class, top grade A celebrities that he's reaching to and talking to, and getting out into the open, and being able to get these people to share some really fucking crazy stuff. I mean, stuff that they've done in their lives. And to me, that is one of the styles that I've watched a lot of, and trying to just learn how to become a good interviewer. It's just watching what he's done. So he's been influential in learning that part. And then, the last one for me has been, and she's a really good friend of mine. She's my podcast host. Her name's Annie Lieb, and what she helped me do was learn how to become more focused, get my ideas together instead of having them spread all over the place. She kind of helped me learn how to funnel my energy and to use it to help me grow what I've grown is and essentially just really helped me learn how to push myself, challenge what I do. I mean, so much that she really helped me out a lot. So those have been the three biggest influences for me, getting to the point where I am now. I mean, I had her and Russ on my 100th episode, so it kind of tells you how much each one of them have helped me grow as a person. So,
what about you, RJ? What are some of the things that drive you when we're doing this?
Well,
Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan. Well, That's actually funny that you mentioned that, because the Joe Rogan podcast isn't bad, and I started listening to it, but I wouldn't say that's what necessarily got me into this kind of thing. Um, I think in the back of my mind, I'd always kind of thought about it. I think we all have.
Yeah.
But for me specifically, I love what I do in working with my dad, and it's another passion of mine. But I love sports, and I think we all do.
Yeah.
And growing up listening to The Ticket, I always thought, man, these guys get paid to just talk about sports, and I know it's much more complex than that, because they put in a lot of time and effort
Yeah.
in researching the stats and whatever they're talking about. But I feel like every time I listen to an episode, they felt like they were genuinely always having fun doing it. It wasn't really work for them. And
Yeah,
so
I think that's one of the big reasons why I long ago started thinking about this, because I've told these guys many times, had YouTube been around when we were kids, we would have been the first set of YouTube stars, man, because we've done some outlandish shit in our life. You know, you know that you've heard the stories.
Yeah, I've heard the stories.
The things that we've done over the years. And so I know that every time that we get together, there's a whole lot of shit talking that goes on wherever we're sitting. Hey, you remember this, and you remember that, and do you remember this, and the stories that we tell, and we make each other laugh so much. And part of the fun of doing this with family, with my brother and with even with you, because you're older, is that I can say things that I know are not going to offend you guys. I mean, we may all have difference of opinions on a lot of different things, but when it all boils down to it, I think we're able to get over that. And so that was kind of impetus for me to say, hey, man, we need to talk. We need to be recording these conversations that we have, because like Gabriel said, man, it doesn't really matter if you think that other people are not interested in what you have to say. There's people out there who watch it, because when I go through the listing of different podcasts that are out there, man, there's podcasts for everything.
Everything, bro.
There's podcasts about, Jack the Ripper, and there's podcasts about, there's still people to this day reviewing every episode of Game of Thrones on podcasts. And you're like, dude, it's been over for 2 years now, but people still want to hear about it. There's still a want and a desire from people out there to want to hear about it. So I figured, hey, let's get our conversations out there, because I guarantee you somebody's going to want to hear what we have to say.
Oh yeah. And you want to go ahead, Uncle Gil?
Well, just to that point, I think what people are starting to discover, and what you guys are discovering as well, is that it gives you a platform to build your voice, build whatever it is that you want to share. And I think, I think that's something that we all used to want to yearn for. Again, growing up and listening to The Ticket, I wish I could just sit there and talk about sports. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
Now you can. You can literally talk for hours if you wanted to. Create your own sports show. Put everything together, stats, all of it, and go out there and talk about it. But here's the thing: you got to be adaptive in whatever you're talking about, and I think this is what's made The Ticket last so long, and what it has begun is because of the fact they stayed away from the sports page a lot of the times. They would talk about other things so that you really got to care about them and not so much about the product, because the product's change. The product will change every year, whatever it is, whether it's Dak's here tomorrow and then, Dak's not here. And then whatever the product will change, but what you do is you care about what they say, the talent. You care about who they are as people. I mean, that's why people were shocked when Reiner walked away. It floored a lot of people, and it really had a big effect. And that's the thing. We all know that's going to happen.
Yeah.
You all know that. I mean, at some point, Norm's going to have to go.
Hell, at some point, the music are going to have to go
because, and you have to. That's the same thing. You got to be able to craft and have these guys, and you really want to care about them. Because let me tell you what. If not, you can have the alternative, which is something like the Fan. And there was a reason the Fan sucked so bad early on was because, we stick straight to the sports page here, guys. We're going to talk about, hey, let's talk here. Call us now. Let's talk about should Jerry Jones be fired as GM? And at some point, guys go, I'm tired of hearing that. I want to hear about something else. So it's why they've, quote unquote, transitioned into what the ticket was already doing. Why they had guys already from inside that farm system over there, and they changed the format. They all do it. I mean, there's a reason why even the Fan has been able to adapt to it a little bit more, and they've built a following of a certain amount of people, and it's the reason why ESPN still sucks. Because
there's only so much. Even when sports are around, there's only so much sports you can talk in a day.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why I think, what made the ticket so popular is the fact that they don't just talk sports. Let's talk about movies. Let's talk about, different things. And I think that, that's one of the things that I really like about what we do is that we don't stick to one certain format. There's no, hey guys, this podcast is going to be about business, or this podcast is going to be about, hell, we did, several weeks on one documentary. Granted, it was one of the best documentaries out there. And the fact that it was such a big deal because it was Michael Jordan, kind of helped. And
I thought you were talking about Tiger King.
Oh my God.
Yeah. We're focusing on Joe Exotic,
Hey,
but no.
Listen to this before you go, though, or before we get off of that and you get into your topic. My friend Adam Posner actually had Joe Exotic on his podcast from prison, and he did their like what is it, the Love Connection or whatever, the show where he asked the husband and the wife sort of, they played that sort of game on there, but he had him on there, so that was kind of cool seeing that and being able to reach out, have somebody like that on your show. So that was pretty cool.
Well, I told these guys last week, I said, there's got to be some low hanging fruit in the form of a celebrity that we could get on. I figured we could get OJ on. I figured, because last week we were talking about the Ford Bronco, and I figured, man, I bet you anything for a 12-pack of beer and a dozen tamales, we can have OJ.
Bro, you can get a lot of people on here, man. A lot of people you wouldn't
For less than that.
I mean, here's the thing, bro. It's just really about reaching out to people and asking, and that's all it is. Now that you have this forum to have these questions, go ask. You never know when somebody might say yes. I mean, I've had so many TEDx speakers on my show; it's not even funny.
So let me ask you, now that you're on that topic, how is it that you came about being able to book all these guests? Because I can only imagine having to book one person a week, let alone 5 or one every day.
So here's the magic of COVID-19, and I tell everybody this: I struggled.
COVID-19.
It is, and I'll tell you why. Here's why. When I started, and again, being a relative nobody when I started, not having no discernible skills or an audience, it was difficult finding guests. I had to really reach out to a lot of lucky for me, close friends who were also creatives, who'd written books or who were artists. I reached out to family members who were, again, who were again artists or were certain. I mean, that's why I've had I had our cousin Eric on. I mean, he was he's a fashion designer. He's created fashion designs uh, for Donald Glover. I mean, um, he's done different things. I had Rebe on. She's a visual artist. I've had again. I relied on a lot of family early on in the process, and I was struggling. And I had reached out to quite a few of my people that I've connected with on my network, and I would get a lot of, well, my schedule's busy. I don't know. I'll let you know. It's a maybe, soft maybe, somewhere around there. So I was getting a lot of that, and then March comes, and they shut everything down. All of a sudden, all those people that I were reaching out to, that I was getting maybes or no's, were now all of a sudden, hey, I got free time. I would love to come on your show. And from that point on, once you get enough of those people lined up and ask, and I'm going to tell you what, one of the best things to do is just volume ask. Ask as many people as possible, because the whole thing is, if somebody says yes and you get a really big name, I mean, boom, there you go. You got that person to kind of push on that next episode. You can go out, promote it a lot. You can do a lot of things. So, and again, I also had the platform of doing it every day. So volume asking, I would go out. If I was doing 25 shows a month, I went out and asked 50 people. Because again, if I got at least 30 commitments, my whole month was booked. And I had 5 people going into the next month. Because here's the thing, a lot of these podcasts don't do this every day. A lot of these podcasts do it every other week. So when they book guests, they do the same thing. They book 30 people in advance, so they got 30 weeks worth of people to come on their shows. Me, since I was doing it every day, I could ask 30 people, and in a month's time, I either went through 30. I had a Rolodex of content of 25 different people, 25 different messages, 25 different stories and experiences. So I always say, just ask, and asking you shall receive. And then again, here's the other thing. When people start noticing, people will start bringing people to you. I mean, it's gotten to a point sometimes where I wasn't even looking for guests. Guests were coming. I still get them now. I get messages from people on my LinkedIn all the time. Hey, check it out. I've watched your show. I like what you do. Here's my bio. Reach out to me. I mean, it's gotten to the point where I don't have to hardly do the work. They come looking for me now. And it's just because doing it over and over and over again, and being consistent, and people like what I do. So, and that's one of the things that I tell you, like what we do here. I mean, I really wanted to do, the whole idea of getting us together and doing a whole show about our brothers. I wanted to really do that. But again, it's kind of like
the logistics behind that
are very difficult, and that's why there's a reason I don't have a co-host either on my show. I cannot ask somebody to commit to the rigorous schedule that I've gone through and ask somebody, hey, I need a co-host who'll be there 5 nights a week. Can you do that?
Right.
I mean,
so let me ask you, of all the shows that you've done, if I said, hey, give me your best 2 that you feel like this was, if I had to make a choice and say my best 2 shows, whether it's content or you were feeling it that night or whatever, what are those? And then also tell me, what's your worst show? What's the one that was a nightmare that you just said, oh God, I got to get through this?
Gosh. Okay.
Let me keep trying.
Let me start backwards. Because I always remember I remember my first 100 guests by their name and by their show number. So, episode number 10 was Tim Meadows Jr. That was my worst interview ever.
Like Tim Meadows, a guy from SNL, his junior.
No, he was somebody connected with me early on.
Okay.
So, God, that was a terrible interview because number one, he had shitty internet. His headphones he was using. This is why I tell people, if you're going to use wireless buds, please make sure they're fucking charged. There's nothing more than I hate worse than people using ear wireless buds and they're not charged, because what happens is once the Bluetooth starts disconnecting, you don't hear shit. So he was using headphones that weren't connecting. They kept dropping the signal. Our audio was very terrible. He kept dropping from the video stream. So just like I was having a conversation with you two guys right now, we would be in the middle of talking and then boom, he would be gone. This is only my 10th episode, guys. So I was still green as could be. And I was panicked like, fuck, I didn't know what to do. I was stammering, stuttering, rambling. It was, I tell you, and I remember it because I tell people, you want to go watch it, go watch. That's the worst episode I've ever done. It's episode number 10. One of my favorite ones, episode number 49 with my mentor, Russ Johns. That was fun for me. Why? Because, again, it's fun to be able to talk to somebody who's helped you learn the process and really invested that much time and has really walked me and helped me along the way where he was shuffling some of his guests to me saying, hey, listen, by the way, do me a favor. If you wanted to, here's somebody's bio or somebody, if you want to connect with them, I'll send them your way. And it really helped me a lot. So for me, that episode was really good. And my 100th episode was one of my favorites. Why? Because it was a goal that I had set, and to be able to accomplish that goal was something that was a pipe dream when I first started. Whenever I came up with the inclination of doing 100 shows, I mean, at that point, the guest that I had on, me and her were talking, and that was one of the things we talked about. And she said, what is your plans going forward? I mean, what goals do you have? And I said, well, I don't know. Why don't we do 100 episodes? And at that point, it sounded ludicrous to go, man, you're talking about 80 more episodes of doing shows. So you're like,
well, and it sounds like a lot. And for you, because you do it every day, getting to 100 was fast. But as I was putting together this show and I was putting together the invites and things like that, I'm typing in, because I name all our shows when I type it in. That way I don't lose track of which episode we're shooting. And I realized that we're on episode 15. So next week, when we do episode 16, we'll be 4 months into this deal. Before you know it, we're already a quarter of the way through a year having done this. And I did the same thing. I was, I was home the other day and I had a headache and I wasn't feeling like doing anything. So I just popped on YouTube and I just started, going through stuff. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go back and watch our first episode. And I watched the first episode with me and Roland, and man, just to see the difference, the room that I was in another room. I had a curtain background. I had the white earbuds in with the, white string hanging down. The audio was terrible. The lighting was terrible.
You were still ugly.
Yeah.
Well, there's nothing I can do about that, bro. That's a lifelong struggle. But
it's like being well hung, though. I mean, it stays with you for life, right?
Yeah, stays with you for life. That and this hair ain't going anywhere either.
Just for men that you keep adding into it, right?
Oh God. Whatever, dude. Don't be jealous because you don't see any grays here. This is all natural. So now, this needs help.
So Gabriel, real quick, one other thing, like looking at some of your earliest episodes, obviously as you became more and more skilled, you upgraded your equipment, you upgraded your set. I think the last time you and I talked, you're also getting a lot of people that are sending you stuff like the backdrop you have there. Someone made that for you, right? And so, which is really cool. have you found yet that you've had any, because I think part of this was, as you said, you want to take it from being just a hobby to maybe a career or something that you're doing. Have you been able to really establish like those very early relationships where you think, hey, this might be a partner or a group that I'm going to work with that I think will get me to the next level? So whatever your next goal is, I mean, feel free to mention those people, because I mean, one of the things about doing this is also to put a plug for them too, right?
Yeah. So one of them was even tonight's show. The gentleman's name is Rob Alasabas, and what he does is he is a brand evangelist for TubeBuddy. I connected with him very early on in my process, and just being very engaging in a lot of the stuff that he did, he really drew interest in me. And even tonight, I was mentioning to him about remotely producing, and somebody that I had met through him this is when everybody was still in lockdown. They were doing a lot of those virtual coffees and virtual chats and all this stuff in big groups. I met somebody there named Marissa Cowley, and what she is she's essentially doing what I'm already wanted to do, which is remotely producing. And one of the things that I did was kind of help her walk through the process very early on. She works for StreamYard now. We're going to have a conversation tomorrow about doing this. And again, that's where I think you plant those seeds very early on in building these relationships, and you don't know where they're going to go, but at least you put it out there and just remain active, and always just, hey, how are you doing? What's going on? What are some of the things you I mean, I got a woman who bought a lot of products that I had recommended because she saw what I did, and she does commercial real estate in Frisco. I mean, just because I had reached out to somebody else and they walked me through the process, I'm having another really huge live stream personality on Friday, and her name's Stephanie Liu, and she's same sort of deal. Real huge on Facebook. Go look at her YouTube following. Go look at her Facebook following. Huge numbers. But how is it that I have hardly anybody, compared to other people, to other influencers, to other live streamers, my numbers are relatively low. Mm-hmm. But yet I still find a way to go out and connect with a lot of highbrow people. How is that? Because I'm real with what I talk about. I'm authentic with what I do, and I really care about what they have to say and what they're teaching me. And they dig that. They feel like that's cool, that somebody wants to at least take my knowledge and experience and use it. So for me, connecting with those people, they're laying the groundwork for me to take that next step for that next goal. Because even like tonight, Rob said, hey, you get your marketing together, you get your packages together of how you want to remotely produce for people, I will introduce you to the right folks. Networking.
Well, yeah. Well, to close out this segment, Uncle Gabriel, I got a kind of two-piece for you. So I'm going to kind of steal a little bit from your show.
A leg and a thigh?
And ask you. I want to ask you, what does the clothes look like for you? And I also want to give you the floor to, talk about what you got coming up and let the people know what's going on with you.
Okay, cool. So, for me, next month, I'm actually going to be taking a step back from what I've been doing at this rigorous pace. I will be doing only 2 shows a week, because now I think it's to the point where I have to really go concentrate on other things. These opportunities that I'm talking about. I mean, it's cool to have these opportunities, but if you don't go take action on some of them or go do stuff with them, they're just going to pass you by. There's nothing. I mean, so I have to really take that step and see what the possibilities are. And the only way I'm going to do that is to step away from doing the show as much as I've been doing it. Because I set a goal for 100, I hit my goal. now the next step is to go, what is it that I really want to push for the next 6 months and see what I can accomplish. And I think that's where I'm headed now. So that's why I really want to step away and then really just concentrate again on getting a couple of my books really published. I mean, I still have friends who are authors. They tell me, man, you have so much going for you because now you got a form on top of if you wanted to go write a book.
Hey, so, real quick, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to blow your wheels off, but did you ever do anything with that title I gave you, Lust for Laszlo?
Not yet, but there's something in the works for it. I've been actually. Here's the thing: I wrote a story arc for it, right? Of how I can tie in, what the whole story for Laszlo is, and how it really ends in a quote unquote happy ending for him. So I've really been working on that, and again, being that I know so many female authors who are quote unquote erotic genre, that'll fit perfectly right in. So man, working on that, I'll get that knocked out. Thanks for the title. That works perfectly for what.
Well, when you need the model for the cover of the book, I'm available.
I was going to say, damn. Beat me to it. I was going to say, whatever you do, don't tell Dave that he can be on the cover because he's going
to try to do the ESPN Sports. What do you call it? Naked edition.
Man, no, hell no. They're going to airbrush the hell out of that cover.
Right.
That's all right.
I mean, I've got other books that I've thought about, like a couple titles, like Knee Deep in Love. That's a good one. That I really want to work on. I mean, I got quite a few, that I've been working on that are in the back of my mind. Again, the creative process. Why not love it? I mean, there's so much that you can talk about. And, we were talking about something with somebody, I can't remember what it was. And I usually don't show my funny side when I'm on my show. I mean, I try to but we were talking about losing weight is what it was and how to track losing weight. And I said, well, you got to, first of all, when you track weight, you got to be able to make sure you set an attainable goal. And she actually says, well, like what? Like losing like 200 pounds in 3 months? I said, yeah, I mean, that's really not an attainable goal. I said, well, it is, and it can be. I mean, it's called a divorce. So if you get a divorce, you can jettison 200 pounds pretty quick. So it's not saying it's not.
You might have slept on the couch that night.
Well, here's the thing, man. The wife doesn't watch the show.
Oh,
right. She just says she feels weird watching it and seeing me on here. So I mean. And not that she's not supportive of it. I mean, here I am doing this right now, but she's just like, well, I see you all the time. It'd be boring to watch you for a whole nother fucking hour talking to somebody else. So why would I want to? So, cool. All right, cool. Don't worry about it. I mean, it's part of that.
After 20-something years of being together, I'm sure she's tired of your ass anyway.
Right. So after 23 years. So, this was last week was 23 years we'd been together. So that's first of all, it's an accomplishment that somebody put up with my ass for fucking 23 years. That's
Amen. Because I've been putting up with your ass for 48, and I'm about tired of it.
But like what we were talking about, the dynamic of what we're doing here, right? This is something about when you do something like what we're doing here now. When you're talking with brothers, you don't even have to worry about chemistry.
Right.
I mean,
No,
the whole point is, say whatever's on your mind and don't, I don't worry, like Jay was talking about this earlier, I don't have to worry about being quote unquote offensive to you. I mean, if we take out the ledger of all the offensive things we said to each other, we're all going to hell. So,
let me tell you something, man. There have been people in my life, in like different work situations or different conversations that are like, man, I really don't want to say anything to offend you. And I say, look, okay, first of all, I have brothers. Okay. I've got 5 brothers. There's nothing you can say that's going to offend me, especially if you met my brother Gabriel. So, believe me, there's nothing that's going to come out of your mouth It's going to shock me. I promise you. Well,
And that's just real quick. I mean, that's one of the things that I think that has been less prominent in what I do. Is just being more open with, of course, my creative side and what comes to mind. Because again, you're dealing with different personalities. You don't want to offend people. You don't want to
Right.
do a lot of things. So you got to just know how to let off the throttle a little bit. Sometimes it's okay to joke, but just saying what comes across, because again, it happens all the time. I mean, you can get Me Too'd or Harvey Weinstein, or you can get Jeffrey Epstein if you fuck around and say the wrong things and do the wrong thing. So, just have that top of mind whenever you're having these conversations. And it's just, there's times that it's okay. Talking with family. I mean, I know I do roundtables about systemic racism. I mean, I really have really in-depth people on there, really talking about what it is to be offensive. And, even then, sometimes it's okay to joke.
And we grew up with our whole family is a bunch of, number one, we're a bunch of jokers. We're a bunch of talkers. We got egos the size of Texas. We always have fun though. And I think the other thing is we don't take each other too seriously. Like when we get into these conversations, we joke around. It's what I was telling, just like when we were talking off air before we started recording, I said something, RJ started busting his head off because that's how we grew up talking to each other, right? And I don't necessarily talk to RJ like that as much because he's my son. It's a different relationship. Whereas you guys, I can say all kinds of bullshit, and I'm not gonna worry about it because you guys know that I'm just kidding. We're just making fun of each other. We're giving other a hard time, but we do it with love, and there's not really any malice. And it's always, I think part of it, we love to throw the shock value out there because we enjoy trying to make each other laugh. We enjoy trying to shoot each other's wheels off. We have a good time. And that's what I really like about the format that we do is that, there's nothing ever so serious on here that we can't joke around. We can't poke fun at each other. And, I was, maybe that's something we can revisit because I still think that, between all of us brothers, I know we could have a damn good time. The problem is now everybody's got, and it's, it's legitimate. Everybody's got families. Everybody's got work. We can't get everybody on the same schedule. And then like, even in the case of our brother Julio, where he lives, they got sucky internet. So it's always having a problem. Even when we do like our family Zooms and stuff, they're always having issues. Right. Yeah. And the other thing too, is not everybody's as comfortable getting on a camera and talking. Right. I don't ever see it as talking to camera. I see it as I'm talking to my brothers. I'm talking to my son. We're having a good time. We're joking around. In case of where we had Sammy, it's talking to our family. This has been cool. I mean, Gabriel, we may have said it, we may not have, but we're all very proud of you, man, because obviously you said,
absolutely.
You got out there, you figured out what you wanted to do, and you basically let there be no hurdles for you to get there. And it's like, I remember you and I having a conversation about one time, and I said, look, the most important thing is to show me, don't tell me. You can talk all the smack, you can talk all the plans, you can talk all this that you want to do. Show me, go do it. Get off your ass, quit making excuses, and go. And that's exactly what you did, man. And again, kudos to you.
Good for you, man.
I'm glad we had you on here because actually we've been trying to get you on for a little while, but I know you had a commitment to getting your shows done.
Yeah, and
thank you.
I would love to come on here a little bit more because, like I said, next month I'm only committed to Mondays and Thursdays. So anytime you guys want to reach out, have me back on, I would love to come on here and have these conversations because this is what I don't get to do on the other one. I don't get to be, let the collar loose a little bit and be able to talk and say these things. And again, to your point of what you were saying, I've even mentioned this on my show, is that those two simple words drove me to do more than I ever expected that I possibly could. It really helped me push a lot of my own boundaries and found out that the only limitations that I have are the ones that I put on myself.
Right.
So learning to hearing that, I've told other people that is I say, hey, those two words shut me down in a lot of ways. And what I mean by that, it's stop all the talk, go do action. And I went and listened to tons of motivational speakers, and it all broke down to the same thing. Take action.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is, take action. Even now they say fake it till you make it. Go out there and figure out. I mean, even if you don't know what it is exactly you're supposed to be doing, at least go take action. You'll find out what happens. I mean, it started with me sitting in front of, and I tell everybody, I'm better at what I do, but let me tell you what, my shows, just to be honest, I tell everybody, and this is the way I just feel, I say, my show's still crappy. I just got better at doing my crap. So go watch episode number 1. It was 19 minutes long. I stammered to get out 19 minutes worth of content. It was in a dark, underlit garage in front of a white sheet. I had my glasses on. I had my
looked
hair
like a terrorist video.
Yeah, essentially it was. I was Kaczynski all over again, just giving my manifesto on camera. So, but I really and truly, I learned it. Somebody told me, go be yourself. This is why I wear my hat backwards, because this is what I feel comfortable being. I don't comb my hair anymore. People go, why don't you wear your hair? Because that's not me. You want to go find the 5 tips and tricks to help you build your marketing, and look, there's tons of shows for that. I will lead you in that direction. But if you want something else, you're going to get me being me, and that's all you're going to get. I'm not going to be something else that I'm not, and I'm done being that kind of guy. So it's really just been me building myself up into the person that I've always wanted to become.
You know, it's funny you say that, bro. When I was trying to develop my professional career in real estate, I went and interviewed with a lot of big brokerage companies, and I mean there were a couple of them that I thought I could have gone to, but they had such a very rigid culture, and that's not who I am, right? I mean, this is probably the most sophisticated shirt you're going to see me wear. Right. And most of the time, RJ will tell you I'm very casual. I wear polos, or hell, even every now and then I might wear a t-shirt and shorts and stuff like that. And it's like, you know, I've found a number of people that were truly highly successful. And I looked at them and said, well, look, that guy's genuine. Look at Mark Cuban, right? Mark Cuban, I mean, of course, when he has to, in the moments, he'll go put on his suit and tie and whatever. But Mark Cuban is Mark Cuban, right? He's t-shirts, blue jeans, or what they're called now, action pants, and tennis shoes, right? And some of the entrepreneurs that I do business with, very same way, man. Down to earth people. They wear very casual. Occasionally, you might have a sport coat on, and I told myself that's how I want to be, right? Because that's how I feel comfortable. That's the kind of genuine me. I'll put on a suit and tie when I have to and do all that, but I don't want that to be the everyday norm. And there's some of the culture in this business is that way. And I figured, well, look, if I want to create my own culture, then let me go do my own company, right? Because the one thing, like all of us Leals have, is we hate people telling us what to do. Right?
Holy shnikes, you have no idea, man.
We do it. So I figured, look, I don't want to have a boss. If I want to wake up today and say, to hell with it, I'm going to go play golf, or I'm going to go do this or go do that and take my time, or, I want to take my daughter to school, or
look what sits in front of me every night. And I'm going to show you what sits in front of me every night. Right?
Yeah, it is.
That sits in front of me every night because to me, that's a driving factor in saying, you know what she crafted is not impossible. It is possible to go out there and do. And yes, that's part of the fabric of who I am as a person is, you know what? I'm like you guys. I don't want a boss. What I want to do is to go out and create quote unquote my own company to go out there and make my own way in this world. Because seeing what they did, I think that's instilled in every single one of us. That's why I think none of us can. That's why we have a hard time assimilating to being inside of a corporate environment, because once you've lived in an entrepreneurial household, you don't want to go. I don't want to live the other lifestyle. I don't want. I don't know about you guys, but to me, no way. No way could I be that way anymore.
I don't.
Well,
I don't think you've ever had a boss other than your dad, have you?
No, I have. But
You were his boss for a little while. What are you talking about? Don't you forget you at Which?
Summer jobs.
Anyways,
I don't think.
Here's what I have on my phone.
Oh my god.
oh god, when's that from?
That.
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
Where did you?
That
get
looks
that?
like it was outside of Ecstasy at 1 p.m.
Oh wow!
No, that's
So
that's FBI's most wanted poster right there.
I can either
Confirm or deny.
or confirm that whether that it might be outside of Ecstasy at 1 a.m. in the morning.
that looks like his headshot that he submitted to play the Texas Ranger.
Oh,
Oh god.
boy.
That was my submission for Narcos Mexico.
Oh my god.
Yeah, how did
Well,
that turn out?
speaking of Narcos Mexico, guys, I definitely think, just to transition a little bit, definitely think we should talk about maybe having Uncle Gabriel on again. I think it was a very insightful episode. We got to hear a lot about the stuff he's doing, how he got there, and I think he brought up some very motivational stuff in a sense that are you doing the things you want to do for the right reasons? Everyone, and I think to take it a little deeper is it something that you'd be doing? And consequentially, we actually had this talk with my sister last week. Me and my dad is, she's obviously bored with everything that's going on, and we're trying to get her to do things, and I kind of painted the picture for her to find something that she would do for fun and wants to do for the rest of her life without, like, if bills weren't a concern, all those kinds of things. Is it something you love doing?
Make TikTok videos for the rest of her life.
Well, that's RJ's point. We're trying to get her off. I mean, like most teenagers. I mean, she's definitely into it right now, right? And before, she was into YouTube, watching videos from certain certain content, very kid friendly, but still just a huge time waste. And one of the things that we were trying to get her to understand is, look, I mean, you can go find a passion, right? But to me, it's got to be something that stimulates your mind. It's got to be something or stimulates your soul or something, and not just brainless drabble. I mean, TikTok serves a purpose. I mean, it's entertainment. It's free to some degree. You just got to watch for some of the content. But at the end of the day, it doesn't require you to do anything. You don't have to think. You don't grow. You laugh and you have fun, but everything has this limitation, right? And so one of the thing about us being the way we are is, challenging each other so that we continue to push each other. Because when you really have, I guess, the motivation to not be like everybody else, not to be punching on the card 9 to 5 and not being dependent on other people, right? When you learn how to find your own way, mean, there's so much freedom in all that, right? And so I didn't mean to get on a soapbox, but you know, just like RJ was saying, I mean, you know, Gabriel, definitely we need to have you back on, you know, and looking at the clock, we're starting to run a little long. So real quick, RJ, why don't you talk about one of the things we want to do upcoming, and I guess let's wrap it up, boys.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So as you all know, we are doing the, now that you mention it, movie review challenge. It's on our page, and by the time this post gets uploaded on Sunday, that'll be the last day for submissions. So, you know, we'll be posting throughout the week before then, just to make sure everybody sees it. But if you're seeing this on YouTube last minute, you're a new viewer, please follow us on Facebook, Instagram. We'll have those links in the bio.
Yeah, and I'll post the movies that we already have listed, all the ones that we're going to choose from those movies. I think what we'll do on our next episode is list the movies that we choose, because I think we're going to have total of 8 movies. Each one of us is going to pick one movie, and then 5 are going to come from viewer submissions. So I'll post a list of movies that we already have, and then we'll get 5 out of those, and any other ones that come in.
Yeah, and then so starting Monday, we will get all those up on a voting website, and that link will be sent out through all our social media platforms. It'll be in the link of this week's episode, because obviously it'll be coming out on. Well, no. We'll think about that. But either way, all our viewers will have access to that link. So once again, thank you for coming on, Uncle Gabriel. It was definitely a pleasure for us all, and we look forward to having you again in the future.
Yeah.
We welcome all our viewers, our subscribers, any of you new followers or new watchers. Please, you know, hit that like, that subscribe button, click the bell for notifications. If you don't have the time to commit to an hour and 15 long video, you can always check us out on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and coming soon, very, very soon, to iHeartRadio. Good night, boys.
What a way to close it. Awesome.
All right. See you guys later, man.
So